one of the principal ways. The power of the church, admittedly, was very much subject to what the king, the head honcho guy.
Was it a lovely, peaceful time for the Saxons living here in England? They were just as bad as the people before. If I might say, the people before were the Durotrigan tribe, because they themselves had their struggles. They were always ready for a fight. There was a very strong sense of their leadership by great warriors. So you needed to be, as it were, a warrior king. That was a process that carried on quite some time. That warrior mindset meant for a less than peaceable way of living.
But you hear a lot about the Vikings being really ruthless, but you don't hear much about the Saxons themselves being ruthless.
No, in lots of ways there are a lot of similarities in cultural expectation.
We haven't found many Saxon artefacts on the Ridgeway, but the ones we have found, what does that say about Saxon life?
When we have found items, they basically confirm what has been discovered in certain other areas. These guys, for instance, had quite a hard time of it. The poorer people, average age expectancy, something like 30. Infant mortality, probably quite high. No medical services to speak of. Food for the common people, as it were. Probably grain-based. It would probably have been barley, perhaps make meal with barley. If they were lucky, they would have wheat to be able to make bread. It was a very tough life.
Would normal working people actually gamble in any way? Would they wager their items to possibly get more?
The ordinary people, the poor people, the majority, they would have very, very little. If they had any possessions, they would probably be things like household items, like wooden bowls and wooden drinking vessels. Definitely nothing of any great value. They lived in very simple huts, for instance. Their possessions are likely to include the very simplest of clothes made out of fairly rough material. They would have had to work very hard for very little. So there wouldn't be a kind of culture of gambling. If they were gambling, it was in decisions that they might make about whether it would be safe to do a particular thing, like, what could it be, fetching water, going out hunting or whatever. They would need to have a really good, sharp eye and ear for things that are happening. For them, it was extremely limited. For the poor.
I can see a few objects that look like chess pieces. Would these have been used to pass time for the Saxons?
Yes, very much. Would be part of their, how can I put it, their downtime when they're not actually stood to for battle or out getting crops from the fields. I suggest that they were probably held by significant families. The Saxons had a game very like chess, possibly. They did involve having a particular representation of a king, which again has an echo in chess, for instance, maybe even a bishop, who knows. But those pieces, actually the ones that we have here, are casts taken from the originals which are resident elsewhere.